What's going on, everyone? Welcome back to the channel. If you are new here, my name is AkeemHaynes. I'm a two-time Olympian, Olympic bronze medalist, author, and motivational speaker and sports commentator. On my channel, we talk track and field, we talk boxing, MMA, all of the combat sports, and we touch on other various sports as well, too. But this video, Inoue versus Donaire 2. What did we think of this fight? This fight was over in Japan, right? This is the rematch. We saw what happened the first time around. It was a slugfest. It was a lot of heart, power punches. It was a big fight. Now, this is the rematch. Both men were older. Donaire is coming in. He's almost 40 years old. And first and foremost, we have to give Nonito Donaire much respect for what he did. And what I mean by that is there are very few people who would get into the ring with Inoue for a second time. They call the man monster for a reason, because the man continues to get better, but he's a monster inside that ring. He's also a technician inside that ring. He's very tough, very hard to beat. But Donaire thought that I saw something different. I saw a different way that I can come into this fight and be him, even though he was older. And so we have to give him that type of respect. Now, here's what I saw from this fight, from my perspective, right? As the fight began, I thought Donaire came in there, both of them, but I thought Donaire came in that one with a little bit more patient, right? I thought he was adjusting to his new game plan, right? And that's not to come out there and to just throw hands, to throw shots, to try to land your power shots, but to let the fight come to you, to be patient, right? To pick your spots, to pick your moments, and to rather outbox in a way. But I also saw Donaire go back to his old ways, right? He saw an opportunity to land a shot and he took it, but he didn't cover up himself very well. And you know, when you are fighting someone who is a puncher, you have to be defensively sound. Otherwise, you are one shot away from the whole fight changing. And that is what we saw. The temple shot that Inoue hit Donaire with before the first round ended, I saw that. I was just like, oh man, it's a matter of time. Not that he can't recover from the shot, but a temple shot knocks off your equilibrium, right? And you never really recover throughout the fight, because it takes rounds and time to be able to get your center of gravity back. And Donaire just didn't have enough time to recover from that. And then the next round came, and it was just only a matter of time before we saw the inevitable. But I thought this fight was going to go a little bit longer. I didn't expect it to be down in 2 rounds. And that goes to show that Inoue continues to get better, because he had a different game plan as well, too. He was a lot more patient, a lot more precise. And man, he looked quick inside that ring as well, too. And when you have the power that he has at the weight and the size that he is at, no one can match the type of power that he has. And that is one of the advantages that he has. So hat goes off to Donaire for getting inside that ring again. And I am almost confident, because I've seen this before. I've seen the look when the camera was zoned in and he was taking off his gloves and he was shaking his head as he was talking to the rest of his team and his trainers. Right now, you couldn't hear what he was saying, but you can see the body language. I've been in sports long enough to know that look and that feeling. It's that feeling of, I don't have anything left. This is it. And so I wouldn't be surprised if we never see Donaire back in the ring. But even if he doesn't come back in the ring, he's had a great career, and we should all be appreciative and respect what he's been able to do. A lot of people, as I said, would not take this fight. There are people in other divisions above Inoue who wouldn't take this fight. So my hat goes off to Donaire. So the question is, what is next for Inoue? Well, it's the year of undisputed, right? A lot of undisputed champions. So I think before the year's end, he goes and fights Casemiro, right? Takes his title. Not that I'm counting Casemiro out. I just think Inoue is much better than everyone else in that division. And I think it's by a landslide, in my opinion. I could be wrong, but this is just how I feel. So I think he goes and fights Casemiro end of the year, right? Sometime in the fall, and gets that title, becomes undisputed. And in 2023, he needs to move up to 122. I think that's his best bet. He can dominate the division that he's in right now for the next 7 to 8 years, however long that he plans to be there, until some other young fighter comes up and has youth on his side and starts to impose their will, right? But he can stay at that division right there for the next 7 to 8 years and dominate it. But if he's daring to be greater than he already is, then he needs to move up and get in there with some of the hitters at 122. You know who I'm talking about. Talking about Fulton, right? Now, I think Cool Boy Steph is going to become undisputed, right, when he fights Akhmadaliev down the road. But I think he is going to beat Akhmadaliev and become undisputed. But even if Inoue moves up, I don't think he fights Fulton right away. I think he needs to fight another quality fighter before he goes and steps into the ring with the ringmaster, right? But I think he moves up. And I think Inoue and Fulton will be a massive fight. Oh, it would sell a lot of tickets. The storylines would be crazy, right? Because Inoue, I think the power will carry over as he gets heavier, puts on more muscle. But in that division, the quickness starts to become even playing field, and he may even slightly be a step behind. Because we saw what Cool Boy Steph can do inside the ring and how he maneuvers and how he puts on the science of boxing and possibly even takes it a step further. Cool Boy Steph is not only a smart boxer, but he's an adaptable fighter, right? Inside of that ring. And he's so defensively sound with his speed and his timing and his quickness. It's going to be a tougher fight for Inoue. I'm not saying Inoue can't outbox Cool Boy Steph. He is a smart fighter. I'm not saying he lacks IQ. I'm just saying it's a tall feat against someone who has been dominating the same way how Inoue has been dominating, right? But just in a different way. And that's a fight that we would all love to see. Now, before we close out this video, right, I want to touch on the pound for pound list and why Inoue is on there. And if you're watching this video, in the comment section below, right, how far is Inoue on your pound for pound list? Now, the pound for pound list is very opinionated, of course, but I try not to let my opinion sway the logic of my thinking. Now, I don't know how they gauge the pound for pound list, but I think, from my opinion, that there are 3 categories in which they are judged and how a person gets on that list. And I'm going to talk about that right now, right? One, obviously what they do in the ring, right? The fashion and how they beat their opponents, the quality of fighters that they face, the makeup of a fighter, everything that a fighter does inside the ring has to go in play as you are thinking about who is on your pound for pound list. So that's the first one. The second one is the star power. Can they sell a fight? Right? How many followers do they have in their social media platforms? How big is their reach? Now, I know it sounds shallow, right? But that's a matter of fact in this era. I saw an article where Bivol, before he fought Canelo, he had something like 120,000 followers. I don't know what platform. I think it was Instagram, if I remember correctly, right? But he beat Canelo and his following shot up to 300,000 followers. So that does play a role in this. And we see that with Ryan Garcia. And I actually like Ryan Garcia, right? But the massive following plays a role, right? If you cannot sell a fight, you won't be high on that pound for pound list. Even if you have a good resume, popularity matters. You got to bring eyes to the ring in some way, shape, or form. So 2, star power. You got to have star power to be on that list. Now 3, right? The potential of what can be. And what I mean by that is the narrative, the storyline, the journey, all that matters. You look on some of other people's list, right, in different networks, and you're probably going to see Tyson Fury on that list. And Tyson Fury is a great fighter, but usually you don't really see heavyweights on a list that much, let alone that they're that high. I know Usyk is on a lot of people's list as well, too, and he's high up there, right? But Fury outweighs everyone on most people's lists, with the exception of Usyk, by at least 100 pounds, right? But you look at the storyline of Tyson Fury, what he's been able to overcome, right? You look at Errol Spence and his story, what he's been able to overcome in the past 3 to 4 years and still come out on top. You look at the enigma that is Terrence Crawford, right? How he doesn't really say much to the media, but he gets into the ring and you know he's a dog and you know he's knocking everybody out. Right. And he doesn't talk much. He doesn't show much. And it's that mystery feeling to it. Right. But his performance speaks loud, even if he doesn't. You look at Canelo, has been number 1 on many people's pound for pound list for years. But a big part of why Canelo has been on that list, yes, he's been winning, but he's been moving up divisions to try and add to his legacy to try to become undisputed in multiple divisions. So that goes in it, I think, as well, too. The potential, the storyline, the narrative, the journey, right? I think that all plays a big part in how a fighter gets on that pound for pound list. Now, some fighters have one of three, some have two, but if you have all three, you'll be on that list for years to come. Inoue has all three. That's why he's on that list. And that's why he's high on a lot of people's list. And in my personal opinion, he's in that top 4 on that pound for pound list. And I got to be honest, right? I didn't believe at the beginning of his career, right? I'm not a person where if someone does something very quick, I would see it in track all the time. Someone would run fast early in their career and there would be all this hype around the person, right? But to me, I need time to see how that person develops. I need time to see how the journey goes. I need time to see your maturity. Every time I see Inoue inside of the ring, he forces me to dig inside the hype a little bit more because he keeps on performing to the level of greatness that he's already at. And now it's all about what more else can he do to become greater. What were your thoughts on this fight? If you have a pound for pound list, let me know who's on your pound for pound list, right? Maybe that's a separate video that I'll do later down the road. But would love to know who was on your pound for pound list. What would you like to see Inoue do next? And if you've been watching for this long, definitely subscribe to the channel and I'll see you next time.